Hello my gorgeous ones, welcome to Alicia Budget Beauty. My name is Alicia and here on my channel I love affordable fashion and beauty. I do hauls, tutorials, reviews, all sorts of fun stuff. So if that sounds fun to you, please subscribe and stick around. Today I am doing my update from a month ago where I picked out 20 palettes. I thought, because I can only count 19 now. If I had 20 back then, I don't know what this mystery palette is. And if not, then I just miscounted a month ago. But I picked out 20, AKA 19 palettes out of my collection to use for the month so that I could come back and give you guys a review. Some of the palettes I had never touched before. Some of them I had, but maybe not a whole lot. And I started this series because I started out with over 500 palettes. Yes. And I have since decluttered, I think maybe 80. And I also have more in a declutter that I'm gonna do at another time. And then by finally getting to the palettes I haven't tried, I'm able to see, is this something I wanna keep around? I know my formulas now, like I know pretty quickly if a palette is just not gonna cut it. And then sometimes it does take a couple of times to use it. And I'm actually gonna do things different the next go around. I'm not gonna pick them out on camera for you guys. I'm just gonna choose and then I will come and review after a month. The reason why I'm doing that is this doesn't include any of my PR palettes. Sometimes I know they're coming, sometimes I don't, and it's just a spur of the moment thing. So I wanna be able to review those for you guys as well. I don't do dedicated videos on all PR palettes, but this way I just kind of pick and choose. If I don't get to some, I don't. And then if PR comes in, I'm able to review that the next time. So next time it'll be a little bit different, but without further ado, let's go ahead and talk about the 19 palettes that I used last month. Okay, you guys, I moved closer because I want to show you what's on my eyes right now. Oh my gosh. We'll just start out with a banger. This palette probably needs no introduction if you're in the indie beauty world or if you're really tuned into the beauty community. This was one of the best reviewed palettes of 2022. It is the Cosmic Brushes Serenity Palette. And let me tell you, the reviews don't lie. I mean, I wanted to wear it on my eyes today, again, just so I could show you how beautiful it is. The other look that I did was more of the cool tone purples and blues. I actually used it on Christmas Day, and I just popped it in my stories on Instagram, and everyone was like, that's so pretty. And like, it's Cosmic Brushes Serenity, but this is the look I did today. The greens in here are gorgeous with these like murky greens, and you've got your neon green, you've got cool tones. This is so pretty. A few kind of neutral based tones, but this is obviously a colorful palette, but it's kind of toned down for a colorful palette in my opinion. The formula is incredible. It may have to be one of those brands that just the next thing I get, because you can't beat this formula very easily. I mean, there's not much out there better. So started out with one of the best palettes that I tried last month. And my intention was to try these at least once, if not multiple times. But like I said, PR came in and then I also got sick for a little while and I didn't wear eyeshadow some days. So I only used a lot of these once. We have the Pacifica Stellar Gaze. Now I had used this palette twice before, so this was my third go around. You guys, Pacifica in this format, these larger palettes, which I know to some it may seem too large, but honestly, it's so thin and lightweight that I don't think it feels bulky. So even though there's a lot of shadows in here, I don't consider this one of those just giant mega palettes. And this format is so good. The formula in these, the Animal palette is good as well, Animal Magic, but I think this one is even better if you are a colorful eyeshadow wearer, but you also like a few neutrals. The Animal Magic is a little bit more neutral, so if that is your speed, maybe try that one out. But the formula is so good. The shimmers are beautiful. The mattes blend so easily. I use this for a beautiful look, for a collab look that I did on Instagram, and I got, I mean, just great feedback off of that. And I'm like, it's Pacifica. Who knew? It's really good quality. All right, next up we have Sydney Grace, which is one of my favorite brands, and we have the Quintessential Deep palette. This was probably my 4th time using this palette. I've had it in my collection for a while, but I wanted to get this out because to me it speaks like winter, even New Year's Eve, because it has silvers and black and the beautiful blue. So Sydney Grace, if you haven't tried, I mean, I always say it's my most consistent brand. I love other brands too that are in my tops, but occasionally there may be, you know, a formula in there that you're like, Sydney Grace never disappoints me. Amazing formula, kind people behind the brand. And I just think that this color story is fun if you like grungy and kind of deep, rich tones. And then if not, Sydney Grace actually does a bunch of neutral colors as well. But I love the Temptalia palettes. I have all 3, but in the deep. They have light and deep. So depending on if you like a little bit lighter mid-tone or deep, that's the difference. All right, then we have Pinky Rose Cosmetics, and we have the Exotic Peacock palette. This palette performed really well. I had tried Pinky Rose before in a different palette. It's escaping my memory which palette it is, but I think these shadows are great. This is that kind of a color story that reminds me of something that maybe like Lethal Cosmetics would do, or Glamlight. It's got, you know, these punchy kind of like neon, but like jewel tones, maybe even like Adept. Not the exact same quality, but these are cheap. Like I want to say they have these on their site for like 12, anywhere from there, like $10 to $15. And they perform great pigmentation. I really like this color story. I had no issues with that, so I'm definitely keeping that. By the way, I will be decluttering a few of these, so those are coming up. All right, then we have the Arcana palette from Shroud Cosmetics. So this was actually my very first experience with Shroud. It is another indie brand that you hear lots about. And it's funny because I've been told by a few people like their shimmers aren't that great, but no, their shimmers are amazing, but the mattes were kind of I kind of felt the opposite, at least with this palette. And by the way, I got this off of Mercari. That's why it looks a little bit more used than just one time. But I thought the mattes in here performed great. I thought they were buttery, smooth. The shimmers were pretty too, but they're those really soft, kind of thicker shimmer that don't have like a ton of sparkle, but they have a sheen. And I do think this color story is gorgeous. So like it's a very like fall palette in my opinion, but I think it can go a little wintry with the blue and this kind of, what is this, like a silvery purple right here. So I'm definitely going to keep that and play with it more. Then we have the Tarteist Pro Remix palette by Tarte. Now, I've seen people decluttering this lately, and I don't know if it's because it's old to them. This was new to me. I always had my eye on it and was like, I don't know, Tarte. And then I kind of fell in love with Tarte in 2022 with the Maneater After Dark and their face products. So I went ahead and picked this up because it was more colorful. I loved my look. I did 2 looks with it actually. And I did did I use this for New Year's Eve? If not, it was a very New Year's Eve inspired look. I think maybe I did use it, but yeah, I had no problems. I thought this was great. It is bulky, heavy. Maybe that's why people are getting rid of it, but I think it was good. And it's promising for new stuff coming out from Tarte. This is definitely bulky. This is the Too Faced Pretty Rich palette, and I just always was drawn to this color story. You can kind of see a theme with even the Sydney Grace, the Tarte palette, this one. Like I love cool tones, I love smoky, and I actually really like this palette. Now it does have a few kind of glittery shades. I did not use those. They feel, I don't know, they feel pretty though. Like, let me see here. Is that chunky? Yeah, it is like a little bit chunky on there. So I mean, the look that I did from it, I really liked it. So I'm still going to keep it around. I don't know for how long. I don't know if it'll be in my collection forever, but for now I'm going to keep it. And I do think, although it's very bulky, I do think it's really pretty. Okay, next up we have the Ace Beauté Falling For You palette. This one, I believe, was sent in Ipsy or Boxy boxes whenever it came out. I don't know if it was exclusive and then it went on Ace Beauty's site, but I remember being jealous because back then I didn't have Ipsy and Boxy, and I was like, that is so pretty. I want that palette. And I do think that it is beautiful for fall time. And I really enjoyed my look with it. Ace Beauty, I mean, they reformulated, and I think that they're definitely one that if there's a beautiful color story that comes out, it's pretty safe to get it and know the quality will be good. Then we have the Paris palette by BH Cosmetics. This is definitely a cool tone with blues and some neutrals in here, pretty much. A little bit of purple, but this, at first glance, this doesn't look that exciting to me. I know it was very highly reviewed when it came out. They said it was one of BH's best palettes performance-wise, and I was just kind of like, I don't know, it looks boring to me, but it really does perform beautifully. BH has an amazing quality, and then they have like a good quality, and this is that amazing quality. So I am gonna keep it, even though the color story doesn't just like jump off the page at me. Then we have two by Mora Cosmetics. I'll go ahead and get these out at the same time. So this is the Time to Shine palette, and this is the Endless Moonlight palette. These came in this gorgeous extra packaging that had these wings that fold out. It looked like a really expensive wedding invitation. Beautiful, beautiful packaging. I didn't keep that though. I should have, but I threw that part away. This is a green neutral color story here. And then the Endless Moonlight has more of your smoky tones in it and also neutrals. But you guys, these palettes, even though these are kind of bulky, they are incredible quality. I swatched these on my TikTok and people went bananas. And I actually compared this one to the Makeup by Mario palette that everyone went bonkers over, because I just felt like even though it wasn't a dupe necessarily, there were similarities about it. And to me, I thought it looked just as nice, actually in prettier packaging. But this is the one that everyone went really crazy over because it's very pigmented and the shimmers in here are stunning. If you haven't tried Mora's eyeshadow formula, I highly recommend it. Very, very affordable and very high quality. Now we have, this one is probably the one that surprised me the most. So this is the ZC Cosmetics. It is a Chinese brand that is known for extravagant packaging, beautiful embossing, but not always the most pigmented eyeshadows. You know, a lot of times in Eastern culture, their pigmentation is different. It's light, it's ethereal, it's angelic. And so I've had this in my collection forever because I just thought it was gorgeous. Alice in Wonderland. It is, sorry, the We're All Mad Here palette. And I kind of just got it just to have something beautiful in my collection. And then I thought, that's silly. I'm gonna try this. And I kind of thought it would be like the orange and the red would be sheer and just not there. It had great pigment. I mean, I remember putting it on my eye and going, what? What? I was so surprised. So even though I hate kind of messing up that palette because it's so pretty, the quality is really good. All right, then we have the Nudie Patootie Laura Lee Los Angeles palette. I think this is a stunning, gorgeous neutral palette. Now, there's part of me that debates on keeping it, not because, I mean, it performed great. And I think if I only had, say I was someone that was like, I only want maybe like 2 neutral palettes in my collection and like 1 colorful, and that's it. Like, I think it'd be a good one to suggest. I just have so many palettes, and so I debate. Like, it's similar to the Lunar Beauty Nude Prism palette in tone because it has some pinky tones. It does actually have a few extra that one doesn't have, like these kind of green tones here. So I think I am gonna keep it. I don't know about forever, but it is a really, really pretty palette if you're looking for a neutral palette with a little bit of green in there as well. Now, this is an excellent neutral little palette, the Neutral Chic palette by Colored Rain. Now, you only get 3 in here, but I think they're three mattes and 3 shimmers. I think they were so smart about doing how they chose this, because you've got like your deep, mid-tone, and your lighter here. So you can really build up the depth. And then, you know, if you want to just go light for the day, do this row. excellent formula. So, so good. I love Colored Rain, and I think it's a very underrated eyeshadow formula brand. They have other things that I like too, like their primer and a cream blush that I love, but definitely the eyeshadows are underrated. Now, let's see. Let me show you the other ones I'm for sure gonna keep, and at the end I'll get to the declutters. So we have the Miss Claus Lit List by BH Cosmetics. This sucker's huge. Now this is a mega palette. So this was their holiday palette in 2021. I was hoping, since BH, you know, was bought by Makeup Revolution, I thought, oh, they're gonna come out with a holiday palette this year, but they did not. And this one though is one of my favorite BH palettes. It is like, I don't know if you can even get it anymore, to be honest. You may be able to out there somewhere, but if you can, this is like your one holiday palette that you need. Neutrals, reds, greens, pinks, like gold, silvers. What else do you need? The formula is that great BH formula. One of my favorites, and I have used it multiple times and I love it. Now, I am gonna keep this palette for sure, even though the brand seems to be MIA. And I have a hard time recommending a brand that I think you can still order it, but I've seen like comments online, on Instagram, where people weren't getting their stuff. So even though I really enjoyed the Poison Ivy palette by Milan Rowe, this was in collaboration with Doodles by the Bunny. She's awesome. She's still alive and well on Instagram. I actually messaged her about the brand, and she said she hadn't heard anything out of them. No response back. I think the last post they had was maybe the beginning of summer of 2022. So the mattes in here are some of the best green mattes I've ever used. If you love greens, this palette is like it. The shimmers aren't my favorite, but I made them work. I loved my look with this though, although you could get the same look with the Serenity palette. So I am gonna keep it because I love the green so much, but I don't know what happened to the owner. I don't know what's going on. Now, this one is on the chopping block because it's also from Milan Rowe. I do have a busted shade in here. It came like that. And this was a strange formula. The mattes were very powdery, but really pigmented, and I did like my look. And this one is kind of like a multi-chrome, the one that's busted, but I think I have, it's that like brown, purple, gold shifting green type of multi-chrome. I've got that in other palettes, and I think I might declutter it just because I can't recommend it because of the brand. So I think I will declutter that one. I'm definitely decluttering the Mexico City Stay Fuego by SheGlam. SheGlam has a good formula for the price, like a really good formula for the price. And then they have some that I'm like, even though it's cheap, just don't even bother, because there's other brands out there that are cheap, like LA Colors, LA Girl, you know, even like some ColourPop on sale, Mora, that are around the same price point, maybe a little bit more, but are better. This just wasn't there. It's just not good. It's not one of their really good ones. It's just not a good one. So I am decluttering that one. And the very last one is a tricky one. So this is I Heart Revolution Sweet and Salty. Now, I have a bunch of these. I have like the watermelon, the avocado one, there's like a chocolate one. They were all over TJ Maxx like a year ago or more, and I bought a bunch because they were like $5. And here's the thing, these perform really, really good. I mean, like the shimmer in here is so nice. Look at that, how pretty. I don't really love this color story, and I just keep thinking in my head, okay, you've got, you know, like Cosmic Brushes, you've got Nomad, you've got Pat McGrath, you've got, who are like my Glamlight, and, you know, all of my favorite formulas. And do I really need this? I think it's great if you don't want to spend a lot of money. I Heart Revolution in this format, they are really, really good. The shimmers are really good, and the mattes are pigmented. So I think I'm going to declutter it, but it's not a bad palette. It's just I have so many and I have to be selective. But that is it, you guys. That is my little rundown. Like I said, a month later, it will be a surprise of what I picked out, and I'll also include all of my PR in that one as well. But I hope you enjoyed this. Let me know your thoughts about these palettes. And as always, have fun shopping. Budget shopping. Bye.